Okay, so this is going to be a tutorial on putting together um, some basic video editing, um, some putting together some templates, adding videos, adding audio, adding some overlays. So we're going to start by opening DaVinci Resolve, and once you're in DaVinci Resolve, our next step is to start a new project. So we're going to go down here, and we already have our best method mobility and our best method posture. So the next one we're going to be doing is best method strength workout for novices. So we're going to do a new project. We're going to label it best method strength workout, and we're going to label it novice because we still have to make some moderate and advanced workouts. So we'll do that. We're going to do create. And that's going to bring us to our main page on DaVinci. So first things first, we need to add some video clips to the program in which we can edit. So I'm going to open up a folder where I know those are housed. In my case, they are right here. Are they raw videos? Okay, so I've already labeled them. So we got strength here. So we have 4 different exercises. So we're just going to drag those over to the media pool. We just hit change. That way everything's all synced up with frame rates. So that is going to be your default. Always hit change. Okay, so next thing we have. All right, so we have a lot of other files, images, graphic overlays, audio clips that we're going to add to the final video. So I have this folder here, and what we're going to do here is basically we have all our files in here. I've got our overlays in here. Actually, we can add all of those. Those are our goals. I'm going to add those here too. And then I'm going to add our, so our instructions are, where are the instructions? Yes, so I just have generalized instructions for these, so I'm just going to add these instructions, add those to the clip. And there will be some other assets that I'll add later, but that's basically the basics for dragging files that you're going to need for the video. We can actually throw some soundtracks in there as well, just so they're all in one place. We'll add those, probably the last thing we do. We're also going to have some intermediate, or excuse me, rest period files. So we have those. I need to upload those. We'll come back to that. But first things first, let's get into the basics of adding the files. So from here, I like to go down. So right now we're in the cut. Usually I have media or cut is what I start with. But we're gonna go down to edit. All right. So from edit, this is where we can drag and drop our videos, audio assets. So when I drop a video, we're gonna start with our one-legged squat. I'm just going to throw it here. And what it does, so the timeline starts here. This is your little, this is going to be the actual frame that you're on. So you have the blue is your video file, and this is your audio file from the microphone. So we can basically hit the play button and watch it live. All right, so this is a one-legged squat. We can pause it. Another little quick tip is if you hit the Alt button and the scroll wheel, you can make it bigger or smaller. So if you need to get in there and do more specific things, it's easier to do it when you have a larger file. If you want to, if you hit Control and scroll, that's going to slide you down. So if we have multiple files, let's just drag some things in here. We have our put that with a little space, and the space here is I'm going to put a little image file in there, so we'll just leave a little space in there, and then we'll go to squats, and then again we can scroll the wheel to slide it over, and then we'll drag this one in here. Again, we can slide these back and forth, so I just like to keep a little space in there for now because we know there's going to be some assets going in there. So from here, you can add things onto the top of this, and this is where it gets a little fun, where you can start getting a little creative. So we have the one-legged squat here, and I want to add some overlays. So what I mean by overlays is the files where are the text files that are going to go over the image when you're watching the video. So we have one-legged squat instructions. So I'm going to drag that down here. I'm going to put it on top of the video file. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit by using the Alt key and the scroll wheel, and I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. And I'm going to bring the track head right over here. So now you can see, excuse me. Now you can see we have the overlay. So when I'm pressing play, that's going to be there, and then once it ends, then it disappears. So what we can do to make that not just stop and start where it's like goes from there and then not there, what we can do is add a video transition, and this just adds a nice little flow, turns it on and off, and I like the non-additive dissolve. So you can put it before, middle, or after in some cases. I like to put it in the middle. Sometimes it won't let you. It'll just let you do the front. So try the middle, but if it doesn't, it's no big deal. It's going to look better than it did before either way. So I'm going to do another one. The track head doesn't need to be there to add this. You can just drag and drop it. So now what it looks like is when I get there, it's going to do a nice fade into that graphic. So it fades in, and then it fades out. So it just looks a little cleaner when you do it that way. So that's going to be, so for each video file, I want to do the instructions and the goals. So we have our one-legged squat goals. So we're going to drag that over here, and I'm going to make it a little bigger. I'm going to add a transition there and a transition there just to clean that up. And you can actually copy and paste files. So we're just using the same image again. So I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to drag this over here, because sometimes if it's over here and you paste it, it puts it over here, which we don't want. So in that case, I'm going to, if you ever want to undo something, click on the Control and Z button on the keyboard. That's going to undo the last step that you took. And actually, it'll undo multiple steps. So if you realize you messed up 5 things, just hit Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, and it'll bring you back to 5 steps ago. So I'm just going to drag this over here. I'm going to paste here. So now we have our one-legged squat instructions here. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. And plus it added the transition, so you don't have to add that, which is nice. It's one less step you have to do. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to drag this over here, and I'm going to paste this. Boom. All right. So now one thing, one little learning tool here. If you want to delete something, if you click on it and if you hit delete, it actually I'm going to Control Z that. See what it did over here? It brought this file over. So if you want to delete a file, it's going to assume it's deleting that much of the timeline, and it ends up dragging things in, which we don't really want. So whenever you delete something, I'm going to Control Z to go back. Highlight it, and you can hit backspace. Backspace actually deletes the asset without changing the timeline in any way. So don't use delete button, use the backspace button. But I'm going to undo that by Control Z. You can also right click on an image and delete selected. But again, you see that shortcut says backspace. So whenever you're using any of these things, the shortcuts are available over here. So that's just a quick tip. So we have this file here, or this video. We've got all the overlays, and now this is going to be round 1. So we can actually stack overlays as many as we want. And if they are PNG files, they don't have a background, so they basically just get overlaid onto the video. So I have a round 1 image that I'm going to use. Let's see here, where is it? So we have this R1. So what I'm going to do, you don't have to drag things over here. You can actually drag it right into the timeline to save some time. So I'm going to drag it here. and I'm going to show you. So we have this big image file here. Obviously, we don't want that that right now. That's not what we're going for. So we want this to be smaller, and we want to be able to manipulate where we put it on the screen. So what the way we do that is we come over here. We have this transform. So anything you have highlighted, which I have it in red here. What we can do now, if we zoom, we can make it bigger or smaller, and what you'll notice, there's a little arrow. So if I click on this and I drag it left and right, it's going to make it bigger or smaller. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because I want to put it down in the green bar. Now position is how we move it across the screen. So now I'm going to drag it left and right. So we can drag it to the left, and then I want to bring it down in the green bar, so we're going to drag it down to here. I want to center it up between the strength and the 15 reps. So that looks good there, but it's a little big for me, so I want to zoom it down a little bit just so it looks about the same font size as the other things. I think that looks good there. Again, we want to make sure we have equal space just to make it look symmetrical. So I'm going to zoom it. I think that looks good right about there. So so now we want that to be there for the entire video. So I'm going to drag it to the beginning, and I'm going to drag it all the way to the end. So it should just clip right to the end there. So now as we're playing this, that R1 is going to stay even when other things change. So that's going to be there the whole time. So we can add as many different assets to the video as we want. So that's just a quick review of how to do that. So we've got we went over a couple basics here: adding video files, adding some overlays, deleting some assets, adding transitions. Now our next step is to add some audio. So I like to have a soundtrack. So we're just going to grab a soundtrack up here. And just like we can add layouts on top of the video file, everything above here is related to the video file. Everything below this line is your audio. So we got video, video 2, video 3, and then we have audio 1. So if I add a secondary audio track, I'm going to drag it down here, and now it's going to give me audio 2. So now if I click play, we have, so if I click this and here, these little waveforms are your volume. So what's going to happen when I play both of these audio tracks, my voice and from the video and the audio track of the music, it's going to sound a little bit hard to understand both of those things. So now you can hear the music and my voice, but it's hard to pick out either one. So what we'll do is we're going to lower the volume on the audio track, so just so it's a little background ambient music. So what we can do is we can either come right down, click on the file so it's outlined in red, and I can take these little arrows and I can drag it up and down. Or from here, you can come up here. We got the audio volume. We can drag and bring it down. So when I'm talking, I'm going to probably be about -30 on the volume. So now let's listen for the difference. So now you can hear me, but the music is just kind of ambient music in the background. So what we can do in between workouts, when we have a rest period, we can basically increase the volume, and this is where it gets a little bit fun. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add what's called a keyframe. A keyframe is basically a place in which we want to change something. So in this case, we want the music to go from quiet, like in the background, to loud and being able to be the main emphasis. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over and I'm going to click this little diamond right up here. So we go to the volume, I'm going to add a keyframe. So now we got a little red dot here. So now that's our first keyframe. Now I need to add a secondary keyframe in which to change the volume. So I'm just going to drag this over here, boop, and you can either click the little diamond, or you can actually just literally change the volume. I like to change the volume. It's going to automatically add a keyframe once I change the volume. So I'm going to change the volume, and what you'll notice as I drag it, that waveform gets a little bigger. So now from here to here, it's going to transition into a louder sound. So I'm gonna go about, I use like around 7 or 8. So now let's listen in where I fade out my voice, the ambient music becomes the main music. So we'll listen in. So now the music is the main emphasis. So, and then once we get to the next track where I'm going to be talking again, we'll hit the stop. And then we will add a keyframe, and then we'll drag it, add another keyframe, or just lower the volume. And now you'll notice just that volume from the red dot over gets lower. So we'll go to 30. So now the transition sounds like this. So we have that nice transition there. So that's how we're going to increase and decrease the volume when the presenter is speaking. So that is our basic overview. I need to add some images to separate these. We do have a 15-second break in here. So let's go ahead and add that. Let's find the file. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for this part. But let's say, okay, we got a 15-second break. I'm just going to show you how to do this. I may not use this as my final timeline. I might edit it out. So I'm going to put that there. All right, so this is a 15-second break. What I like to do here, I drag to the beginning. And we got a little time code stamp here. So that says 1 minute, 26 seconds. So I want a 15-second break. So I'm going to take the time code and just add 15 seconds to that. So that should be, I think, 31. So it should go to 131. So I'm going to drag over to, excuse me, we start at 26. Excuse me, that's not 31. That's, I'm horrible with math. So plus 4 would be 30. And then, so we're at 31. So that'll be 30. That'll be 5. And we'll add 10 seconds to that. So 41 will be our 15 seconds. So at 41, come over here. All right, so that'll be 15 seconds. So as you can see, I'm gonna have to drag this over a little bit. We might have to change the audio there, but no big deal. So I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna drag this over. So now we know this is 15 seconds. So from here, 126 to 141 is 15 seconds, within a few seconds, or within a few milliseconds. Doesn't have to be super accurate. So again, we're going to go from the 15-second break. And actually, that's not the right image file for this exercise, but I just wanted to show you a demonstration on how this works. I'll hit the play button, nice music, transition, and then fade away to my voice. All right. So, so once we've built all these elements out for all 4 videos, I'm going to scroll out so we can kind of see our main storyboard. All right, so we're going to copy and paste, or excuse me, we're going to do the same thing for each video. They're going to have different overlays. But once we have all that, and just for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to add all this stuff over here. I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste it here. It may not fit, which is fine. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. So let's just say we've got everything ready to go. We've got, okay, so now from here, this is our first round of exercises, okay? So once all this is up to date, we've got our soundtrack in, and it's not complete. I'm just, for demonstration purposes, what I want to show you how to do is we can copy all of this and repeat it over here. So it's pretty simple. All you gotta do is just drag. Now everything's in red. If we right click, copy, drag it over here, and we paste. Now we have 2 rounds of exercises. So from a global perspective, we'll look at it. So now we have round 1 and round 2. Now it copied everything as is. So what I'm going to go back and add a round 2 to these, and then obviously do all the other edits I need to do. But just for demonstration purposes, once you get all of this set up, copy paste for round 2. So you don't have to do all this over again. You'll just have to change the rounds. So I'm going to Control Z and go back, and then gonna kind of continue the editing process. But that is an overlay on, or a overview on how to do some basic edits in DaVinci Resolve. It's a great program. So Feel free to post any comments or questions if you have any, and I will definitely get back to you on answering those questions. Thank you, and have your best day ever.